Hey everybody, Nick Kramer here from Driven Leads with a quick special webinar, interview, podcast, whatever anybody wants to talk, vlog, I don't know. I'm here today with Brandon Moore, and I'll bring him in real quick. This is Brandon Moore from Convertify. He comes into the world with 6 years experience in the ISA industry. So Brandon's an ISA for mainly real estate companies at this point. And Brandon and I got connected via a couple of our clients, and it was kind of a happenstance. We figured out that we really liked working and enjoyed working with each other and enjoyed working with each other's clients. So I thought I'd bring Brandon on, and honestly, we're just going to go through a couple of real simple things, talking about what the industry's like, what Brandon does day to day. What's his best avatar, perfect client mix look like, and sort of what he sees on the horizon in the coming year and years. So, Brandon, welcome to the stream, the podcast, the vlog, whatever the hell we're calling this today. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Appreciate the intro, Nick. As always, great to be here. Happy to answer some questions. So, very simply, yeah, we primarily only do real estate teams and single agents or brokers. We take the leads that they generate and convert them into pre-qualified appointments. So it allows agents to really get off the phones, get some guaranteed appointments on the calendar every single month, and just also a time savings. A lot of people don't have the time or make the time to call their own leads. So that's exactly what we can come in to do. And Nick is incredible, for example, generating the leads. So we hear it all the time. Sometimes they don't even need more leads. They need help with the ones that they've already got. So we kind of have met through that. And it's been very, very fruitful and lucrative for the both of us so far. So that's what we do.
Yeah. So, tell me how you got into the real estate industry. I know I always tell people mine was by accident, but sometimes it happens by accident. Sometimes you do it on purpose. So tell me why the real estate industry, or why
Yeah,
ISAs, I guess. Let's go from that.
yeah. It goes back to, so I'll get to the ISA part in a second, but technically the entire real estate niche. I watched a video from a guy, an old gentleman called Ron LeGrand, and he was talking about wholesaling real estate. And obviously, I was a senior in high school at this point. This is 2015. And he would talk about matching, cash investors with sellers who are looking to sell. So I would actually do that exact same thing, or I tried to do the exact same thing from a site called Kijiji. It's the Canadian equivalent to Craigslist, in hope of getting a deal done. So essentially matching people that were FSBOs, or for sales by owner, and getting them to a cash buyer, which there would be both ads listed: cash buyer looking for homes, semi opportunities, and cash seller, just seller, for sale by owner, not with an agent looking to get this property sold right away. I'd match the two in my senior year of high school. So it was interesting. I scheduled showings directly with buyers and sellers, never made a penny, but built up a lot of the same communication skills that I still use to this day. And that goes into where I actually started making some actual money, which was through the ISA company called Realty Conversion in December of 2017. Local startup, oddly enough. I'm from a small town in Ontario, Canada. So it was interesting that of all places, I got it from there. So it was kind of meant to be. Didn't really, like I said, I had that sales skill set. I was 19 at the time, but it was very easy to kind of learn. It was calling leads and booking them an appointment. It wasn't very complicated. So I had a book of business of 8 to 10 realtors at that time, was top performer very, very quickly for a year and a half before getting promoted in the summer of 2019. That's when I got to an ISA manager, managed anywhere from 12 to 15 reps at any given time. And then I was actually, fast forward to 2021, just a little less than 2 years later, given an opportunity to take over that company along with another manager. And I'll tell you guys, the numbers really didn't make sense or align with what I thought it could be. And then second to that was, just selfishly speaking, I felt enough confidence that I could go out on my own, do the exact same thing for a lot of people within my network. There's a lot of people that called me, texted me saying, hey, I don't necessarily agree with the company that you work for, and you sound great. I really like working with you. If you ever decide to part ways, I want to be the first guy that you call. So I took that at face value. It's like, okay, you know what, it doesn't hurt to at least try. And we did that, and I wanted to start my own thing from scratch. So Convertify was spawned officially actually about a week today, last year. So January of 2022. It's been going strong ever since, and I've been on my own since that time. So it's going
Nice,
well.
nice. So, um, any other niches besides real estate? Are you doing any other industries that you're helping out in?
Not right now. And, I like real estate mainly because the security. I think that's the main factor as to why I decided to build an actual agency in this is just because I personally believe buying and selling of property isn't going anywhere. Even with, as of we're recording this is January 2023, the market is definitely starting to shift, especially where I'm from. Things are not looking so good, but people are still buying and selling. There's still deals to be had left, right, and center. So I'm trying to ride that wave, and it's been going that way ever since. So we're trying to partner with the right agents, and it's been very lucrative. That's what's kept me in this niche for so long, was partnering with people who view themselves as businesses, agents or real estate agents. So it was also just a relatively easy one to get through. Like I said, it wasn't super complicated, but you do have to have a thick level of skin to get in this niche. You got to deal with some BS sometimes, but it's all part of the game. So as of right now, no other niches, but I would say, another niche completely separate from real estate to me that's really interesting is like the consulting and coaching world. I think a lot of people need, some hand holding. Even I have a business coach that I speak with and consult with on a weekly basis. I think it's very important to have. So that's an interesting niche to
Yeah,
me.
yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of we work with a lot of coaches in the real estate industry, and I've got a business coach as well. And I think that's a great point. If you don't
Yeah.
have a business coach, if it's just somebody to kick you in the ass and tell you, do your work that you said you're going to do, I think that that's something that I always said no to for years, and it's great to hear that new into your entrepreneurship journey, you're already getting a coach. I think that's smart.
Yeah.
So, let's jump into a couple of different things in this. The ISA world, and I tell people this, like, things have changed. So you've been doing this for several years. You've been doing this on with your own firm for a year.
Yeah.
But the years that you've been in it, I think probably equate to about a couple of decades of experience because of the pandemic, because of interest rates being really low, because of interest
Yeah.
rates coming up. All the different crazy things we've seen in the last 4 years, I think really puts you you like you said, thick skin, and put you in a good spot to continue to succeed as a company. So where the question comes from is we get this a lot from our clients that don't realize this, but they do on the same time is, you know, your script isn't the same as it was a year ago, I would guess.
Yep.
And I would guess it possibly changes for the seasons. And sort of give me a rundown of how how that possibly changes or updates, and what makes you decide to adjust that. Is it different for different clients? Are you doing different things for different people?
Great question. I think there's two very important things to talk about. And as far as scripting goes, we saw the biggest shift right above and right at and above COVID. A lot of people were picking up on scripts more and more. I'm not sure if it was the shift to working from home or just being exposed more to the forced online world. There wasn't much, going out at that time. And that's what we saw the biggest thing. And I've taken, a combination of Dan Plowman. For those who don't know, he's a big real estate coach in Ontario. We had access to his script. We had access to the Proctors, the Ferries, and we 100% use them as a foundational piece. So they are there as the bare minimum qualification questions. If these boxes do not get checked from what's in this script, we cannot book the appointment for our customers, for our realtors. But we use it as a foundational piece, but not as a conversational one. What I mean by that is there is, yes, a system to these calls and having success with them, but at the exact same time, we're very consultative. We're not salesy. You literally can't sell a house over the phone, right? So there's no point in trying to really lure them in, meaning the leads, to anything. You just have to be a human. You have to be normal. And just conversate with people. Don't overcomplicate it. I think, in my opinion, this is a controversial opinion. People are too hung up on the processes and perfections of each call. I'm just a huge believer in simplicity scales, so we treat the calls as such. And I think it's just important that everyone views that the exact same way. Learn your scripts. I'm a big fan of, and I hear this all the time from our current customers, is quite frankly, for lack of better words, I don't give a shit how you get the appointments, just get them, right? It doesn't matter how you're speaking to them, as long as you're not tarnishing my brand, it really doesn't matter to me. So everyone has their own little nuances and little, speaking things. Like I'm personally, I'm very direct. I'm very just in your face. I'll tell you what you want to, maybe sometimes don't want to hear, but what you should hear.
Right.
And you can take it at face value. Other people are very soft spoken. That's why our entire team is very multicultural, women, males, and it does very, very well. We cover all our grounds on that. And you hit on a good point as well. I think another question was the business model, right? Our business model is staying the same and scaling. I'm also a fan of keeping that very simple. One service, taking the leads or that you're already generating and converting them into appointments or lead qualification. One ideal customer profile, real estate agents. One way of acquiring customers, whether it's paid ads, cold email, cold calling, whatever, something that's repeatable. Because the more offers that you have, right, the more complicated it gets. It's just going to get very confusing for a lot of people if you're doing multiple things for multiple industries.
Yeah.
And I like this because after a certain point as a salesperson, and Nick, you probably know this as well, it's like if you're only focused on one offer, there's maybe only, handful of objections that you're just going to have to repeat through
Yeah.
over and over again. After a certain point, it's just muscle memory. You can act so quickly and rebuttal these objections so quickly that it becomes like a game. It becomes so easy, and that's where I feel that we're in the position that I'm at now, and it's helping us just multiply and compound our efforts and ultimately compound our appointments as well. So we keep things. I'll end with this: we keep things very simple, but we will always innovate and innovate fast when need be, or when
Yep.
the situation calls for it. So as long as things are on a growth trajectory year over year, keyword is year over year, not day over day or week
Right.
over week.
Right.
If you zoom out for a second, as long as things are working, that's my thought process. And like I said, it's a little controversial. Some people are very focused on planning. I agree with that too, but I just agree with just do the actions, and typically the result will come out of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I think you made a good point there, and it's something that we tell our clients or prospective clients all the time is, when we're starting out on the program, somebody might be, oh, this was a terrible day. We say, everybody has a bad day from time to time. Like, look,
Yes.
zoom out, look at the bulk of the product and the project, and say, what did it look like in 30 days? What did it look like 14 days, month, year? When you start to build that data, and I think you're the same way as well, where you're building that data for that client, they're able
Yeah.
to see, yeah, everybody has a bad day. You could make calls and not have anybody answer for the entire day, and then the next day you set 5 appointments, and all of a sudden you're a hero again, right? So
Funny story on that. I know what that feels like. And for those who are either an ISA, or they're building an ISA team, or they're looking to add an ISA component to their business, it's like I've done, 8 hours of calls, and literally we call them a donut. I got a donut, 0 appointments. And I've done 3 hours of calls, and I've booked 5 appointments, right? So it's all relative. You just got to zoom out. I agree, like I said, with tracking daily, weekly, monthly progress. But as long as we're trending at the very least quarterly in an upwards direction, that's a win. That's solid. Treat that as such,
yep.
right? And as Nick and I know, like online leads are tough. They're not easy.
Mhm.
You got to treat them as such. And you just got to have the proper system in place to get things rolling. So exactly right. It's bang on.
Yep. That's awesome. So one of my one of my questions, I guess, for you, and we have a philosophy on this as well. How
Mhm.
often are you getting on the phone, or doing a follow up, or talking to your client, and going over your numbers, or going over what do they see shifting? And where I go from that is, we'll do a monthly call with our clients, or try to.
Yeah.
They're busy. A lot of times we might get ghosted. We had a couple people get ghosted this morning, which is
Yep.
typically a good sign. They're like, "Hey, we're real busy," but we want to hear from them on the ground floor. Like, what's the market doing in your area? What campaigns are working? What aren't? What are you seeing? What's the trends? What do we want to work towards? Do you have those conversations much with your clients at all?
Always. For our key accounts, and this is just, sharing numbers because it's important. If you're doing 300 to 400 leads a month, we're speaking with you twice a month. And I agree with that sentiment. We got ghosted yesterday. We call them customer success calls just to make
Yep.
sure that we're trending in the right direction. And he's like, hey man, I'm busy. The reason I didn't answer is because I'm so damn busy from your appointments. Keep him coming. Keep me well fed. It was literally like a 3 minute call. He was very happy. He
Yeah.
just wanted to simply know the numbers, and that you'll get customers like that, right? And that's totally fine. But I really agree. It's a great question because all these lead gen companies and all of these, even appointment setting companies, it's like we look at this, we need to see the end result, and that is a deal. If they are not making money, we are eventually not going to make money. And it could be a high churn business. If you don't know what you're doing, you got to set the proper expectations with your customers. So I really agree in the sense that it would make sense to do at the very minimum. I like your cadence 1 month. We do monthly at minimum progress calls, but like I said, for the key accounts, we'll speak with them bi-weekly, make sure that we're trending in the right direction. Conversion rate and show rates are on top. Those are our two metrics that we're measured on. And then overall lead quality, lead flow, make sure things are trending in the right direction, and just reiterate all the time, like, this is normal, right? No shows are normal, or little key factors are totally normal as long as you're pitching that kind of long-term vision in monthly or quarterly targets in their mind. And
Yeah.
it's very important to do that for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's shocking how much we hear, and I think you hear the same thing in your industry when you tell a client when they're first starting, "Hey, we want to get on the phone with you once a month or twice a month, or if there's any changes or updates." We'll hear back from them and say, "Well, we never spoke to our last firm we worked with, or we
Yeah,
usually didn't have any communication." Like, you can't have success without communication. I mean, that's Brandon. That's your entire business is communication. So
seriously, it's
and,
so
and
true.
and there are other ISA companies that we've, in the 14 years that we've been doing this, there's only been maybe two ISA companies that we've said, hey, we've heard there's a lot of good success with these. You're literally one of the, you're the second one that we've actually told people, if you need an ISA, if we're seeing them struggle with leads, like, hey, reach out to these guys. They're going, we know that they a give a shit. That's big. And
Yeah,
B, answer their phone, right? And
yeah,
talk to you and then communicate with the client. So that's awesome to hear.
yeah.
And I wish that was the norm. It's obviously a good way for us you and I to show our worth to our clients a lot faster, and for them to feel a lot better about it. So into the next question would be, what do you see? Obviously the industry has evolved pretty rapidly in the last few years. What do you see on the horizon? Like, are you seeing trends over the last year? Obviously, we went from low interest rates to higher interest rates, and we're seeing the market kind of turn. But like
Yeah,
you said before, houses are going to be bought and sold regardless. We saw a little bit of a blip on traffic
yeah.
and lead count, but that's all back up as of January 1 for us. But what do you see in the change of landscape over the next few years?
It's a good question, and everyone should be planning for that too, or you will get left behind. I want to touch on really quickly just what the last, at least based on my experience, what the last 5 years have looked like and what I think the next 5 years are going to look like. For when I started December officially in 2017 with the ISA stuff, I think online leads have been the biggest shift. And I know that sounds a little, mundane, but agents over the last 5 years have realized tech is here to stay, and you can actually help grow their business if the money is spent in the right areas. Advertising being the main one,
Yeah,
Google pay per click, Facebook, general brand awareness, whatever it is. When I started, we would have demos all the time. They were like, "What the hell is an online lead? I don't understand what you're talking about. Are you talking about somebody that finds you on a billboard or finds you here and there?" It's like, no, like, you can pay for leads. You can pay Google or Facebook or any of these lead gen companies to set this up for you, run traffic towards it. And by then they would interrupt us and like, it sounds so interesting, but I've never heard of this in my entire life. But I think, over the last 5 years, there's been a real shift in how much online demand there is and how many eyeballs you can get through advertising, that it's only going to keep getting bigger. But I think the last 5 years have been a real stepping stone for a lot of agents in the online space. A lot of people are now seeing, what the hell can be grown out of this? It's pretty insane. Now, as far as the next 5 years, this is where, in my opinion, with the economic results and decisions that are being made today, is like, there is no middle ground anymore. Like, there is no selling the 8 to 12 houses a year on your repeat referral business. It's like, you're either selling nothing or you're selling a ton. There may be this middle ground a little bit, but what's really going to, in my opinion, make the shift is content, content, content. I think those who are making content already are way ahead of the curve. But as the markets start to shift, market starts to shift, I think it'll be a deal breaker unless you've already had such a big repeat referral business of hundreds of past clients. Most agents don't, right? And they'll need a new way to get business. Not only does online lead allow you to get that, but there needs to be a further step, and that's video, right? So content of all forms allows you to not only build trust from the get-go, but also immediately start building a relationship with someone before they've even spoken to you. Somebody could follow you on Instagram in June and they message you in December saying, I've watched every single one of your stories, every single one of your podcasts, every single one of this and that. I've just never reached out to you, but I'm interested now. And you'd be
Yeah.
like, I saw the follow. I saw that you commented, but I never knew this. This is awesome. And you're building, there's a specific term, it's lost on my mind right now, but it's a term that allows you to build a relationship before they've literally ever even spoken a word to you. So I think that's huge. We've literally booked appointments before that say, hey, we've been following Joe on Instagram for like 6 months now, and we're ready to buy because of him being so personable, knowledgeable, sharp, on the ball. This guy clearly knows what the hell he's doing, but I wouldn't have agreed to a meeting 6 months ago if it was just cold. But because he has so much video,
Yep.
because his face is everywhere, I want to get into that. So that's what allows our services to really glue together as well, is something like that. So the follower that you gain or comment you get on any post may not turn into something immediately, but you need to view, and even I personally do this, and Nick, you probably do this as well, is like view content in a 6 to 24 month time frame. I know that sounds insane, but so much can take place in that amount of time. It takes years, but it's just like a bank, right? You put more in, you get more out. It's savings, if you will, but it really starts to compound over that time. And the last thing I'll say about content is you literally make a piece once and it can be repurposed or rewatched millions of times over if you wanted to. So that's why it's so powerful. You have, ultimate leverage when you make a video or a post or something like that and just, put it in everyone's face. So
Yeah.
I think that is the determining factor. A lot of our customers, we say, even when we set an appointment, even when we nurture a lead, we need help from you to nurture these people. There's only so much we could do as ISAs. So you need to work with us on creating good content, valuable. And I should say this is another controversial topic, but like the sold and past listings on Instagram, guys, it doesn't cut it anymore, right? It doesn't matter. In 2021 and maybe even a little bit of 22, it was cushy. You could do that. You could get away with it, but people are sniffing that out. It speaks selfishness, right? You
Right.
want to actually provide value about the market, and it doesn't even have to be about the market, but just about you, right? You are the ultimate service, so you want to provide that. Um, and I just, to the last topic, it's like real estate in general is incredibly competitive, but content is such an easy way to stand out. And I'm still surprised at how little agents are making content. Still in 2023, I think it's the lowest hanging fruit for a lot of people. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Leads kind of like scrappiness, recording a selfie video off of your phone versus a crazy professional setting. Like, get there, that's the end goal.
Right.
But they like you being on their same level. When you're so professional, it's the analysis paralysis of a consumer, of somebody trying to buy or sell a house, right? They're just
Yep.
going to freeze. They're not going to know what to do. Versus if you just come in, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. If you ever need anything, I'm here. They love that.
Yep.
So I think that's what is happening. The sold past listings, super saturated. We saw this rise at the peak in 2021 because you could get away with it. 2022, I think, was a real test. And 2023, for lack of a better word, will be a bloodbath for the agents who aren't ready, and it will be a gold rush for those who are. I really, really, truly believe that. So,
Yeah, it's funny, and this wasn't prearranged. I didn't know what Brandon was going to say here, like, and I didn't coach him on this, but this is something I've pushed on. This is something I'm doing. We're getting very literal with and on purpose with our YouTube content, and we've seen this. So where we've seen this is through clients and through non-clients. Like I'll be doing an interview with a gentleman that 60% of his business is from YouTube referrals. We've got some big clients that literally have said, I've had a person walk in my door, which nobody says happens anymore. And he goes, I had a guy walk in my door, said he wanted to sign a buyer contract. And he's like, all right. And he's like, well, I just need the buyer agreement. And we can and my client goes, well, we don't have you in our database. We don't have you on any list. And he's like, no, I clicked on your ad on Google, and then I got all your YouTube videos. So we were pushing in
Awesome.
there. And what that's called is omnipresence, is being everywhere at all times in front of everybody, and sort of racking the shotgun, so to speak, is getting ready for that. And those are the best buyers and sellers. He literally
Yeah.
said the guy came in, it was a buy sell. I think it was about 1.4 million total for the deal. And the guy didn't have any questions. He's like, I'm not going to ask you. He's like, I want you to set the price for my house because I watched your videos. You know what the hell you're doing. And you're 100% right. You are the product. So the realtors, the brokers, solo agents, doesn't matter what kind of team you have. If you're not building content, I think you're going to be losing out by the end of 2023. And the best time to start is now. It's today. Don't worry about tomorrow. Just get it going today. So I think, Brandon, you're 100% right. It actually makes our job easier. It makes your job easier as an ISA,
Does.
because
It's
you call in and
so,
be like, "Hey, I'm calling from XYZ's office," and you're like, "Jays, I saw your video everywhere. Like, I see it here and here," and you're like, "Cool." And and they're following you all over the place. Why we prefer, or why we're front facing with YouTube, is a couple of reasons. It's the second largest search engine in the world. It's not even close. It's Google and then YouTube.
mhm.
And then everybody goes there for DIY. Everybody goes there for authority. You can see a video on Facebook, you can see a video on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and the highest authority in everybody's mind is going to be YouTube.
Yeah.
Um, and it's taken over that local commercial thing you would have on TV. Now, when people are watching or consuming their YouTube videos, which everybody does, just being able to get in front of them, I think that's huge. And again, makes everybody's life and job easier if you're creating that content. So it's a great
Does.
point. I didn't see this interview going this direction, but that's awesome that you think that too. I completely agree with you, and I think more and more we're going to see it turn to that, where it's going to be wildly important if you want to be successful and you want market share. Market share is going to be your presence and your brand over top of your numbers, first and foremost.
Big time. It bridges the gap. And then the other, you said it just a second ago, was service. Like, what level of service are you providing as an agent, right? Like I said, in 2021, a lot of people don't like, it being called out. 2020, 21, you could get away with being the lazy agent, just kind of,
Mhm.
showing up to a house, getting it $50 to $100,000 over asking or more, which is crazy. And not really do much about it. But now it's like you're really having to put an effort, really having to work. And we view this, we have a term internally that's like the red carpet level of service. What it means is, like, if you're using a platform that is not driven, we will set up the integration from the second you start getting driven leads. We'll handle all of that on the back end, and you don't have to worry about anything technical. We'll set up everything. We will give clear, bulletproof next steps as to what is happening in the sales transaction. From the second the onboarding form is filled out, they get a series of training videos that they need to watch, and it's all laid out for them very, very clearly. They're not coming to you for questions. They're not, not knowing where to go. You're hand holding them the entire way through. I think agents need to do the exact same thing with
Yep.
all of their clients at this point. It is like crucial. And it gets to a point where we've been told that, the appointments that you're setting, that your main service is just the cherry on top. Everything else is just, and like you said, an accountability partner, somebody to hold me accountable to calling these leads, somebody who can hold me accountable to growing this business eventually, because you're a key part of that. Both us, actually, Driven and
Yep.
Convertify, right? So it's interesting. I think those two combination, content and just your overall level of service, you as an agent, why should they buy through? There's hundreds of agents, there's thousands of agents in any given city. Why you, right? And if you can't answer that question, you got to get answering it as soon as
Right.
possible. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. That's awesome. Yeah. 100%. Well, I guess this leads us towards our final kind of question. This is a deep thoughts kind of thing, where we ask you something that that is near and dear to you.
Mhm.
But the question would be, what's keeping you up at night? What is it that it's funny. Everybody thinks from the outside in, every entrepreneur is successful, right? When everybody finds out somebody owns a business or this or that, and entrepreneurs they can be successful, but they're it's like the iceberg. It's this big, and then at the bottom, it's 10 times as large. But there's
Yeah.
also that. I mean, every entrepreneur, every agent, that it's a small business owner, like they rich one day, broke the next.
Yeah.
What are the things that keep you up at night, and whether it be in the industry or whether it be running a business? having employees. God knows having employees is an amazing thing.
Yeah.
But tell
Yeah.
me, spill
All
the
of the
beans.
above, all of the above, man. It's crazy. For anyone listening, if you're a realtor or a business owner, it's a different level. You get all the risk, but you also, of course, get all the reward. I know, finally, starting to buy some little nice things for myself and taking care of certain family members, and it feels really good. But at the same time, to the end of that, it's not wondering where a check will come from, but it's just kind of is at the same time in the sense of like, damn, like I'm all in. Like there is no 9 to 5. There is no 401. There is no security. Like if everything, God forbid, goes south, it's like I'm screwed. But at the same time, and this is actually a recommendation for not only real estate agents, personally myself, but just anyone listening that is an entrepreneur, it's like build a skill set to where that you're so confident that no matter what happens, you will be okay. And I have my worst case scenario, which is sales. I'm personally in love with sales. I think I could sell anything. And if it, all came to it, all my customers left today, I'm left with nothing. I just go start selling for somebody else, and I could be back on my feet in 24 hours.
Yep.
Right? Literally, I could just be that quick, and I do think I'm that adaptable. And I feel like everyone should get to that position from a skill set perspective. But then, just getting a little off topic here, from an asset perspective, is of course taking the cash that my business generates, putting it into hard assets that will produce cash flow or just hold their value very, very well. So, like I said, God forbid something happens to the business. I know 3 people off the top of my head that have been millionaires and lost it all over just the course of 3, 4 years because they were stupid. Quite frank, they just didn't know what they were doing. And it's partially not to blame them, but at the same time, you are responsible for your own situation. And that's what I'm doing personally from a skill set perspective, is just constantly learning, constantly building myself up, including my employees. It's amazing to feed people, and team of 7 right now, so it feels great. But at the same time, of course, there's times where I literally can't sleep because I'm thinking, it's like, oh my god, what about the next move? It's like
Right.
it may not even be a direct negative. Everything may be going well on the surface, or they may be going well in actuality. But then you're like, damn, like if I want to take it to the next level, I gotta dip our margins below this percentage for 3 months. And if
Yep.
we don't get it, it's a shot in the dark. We get nothing. But best case scenario, like I said, we get all this upside. This is awesome. So I think skill set and just plowing my money into hard assets, not being stupid in the sense of putting my money in different places that don't appreciate in value, but just being very smart and enjoying life, man. I think that's a very important piece that not a lot of people too take. I had a buddy of mine who said, take yourself too seriously, but don't take things too seriously at the same time. Like we're in this life once.
Yeah.
We just got to do what we got to do, have fun, and that's it. That's my kind of philosophy, if you will.
Yep. Yeah. No, I got you on that. Don't take life too seriously. You'll never get out alive. That's what I always tell
I
people.
love that. That's really good, actually. It's
Yeah.
so true, though. You
Yeah.
just got to focus on the good things. Family is number one, but business is a passion, and it's going to
Yep.
be that for the rest of my life.
Yeah,
So,
and it's all right to be a hobby. Like you're new to the business. Like a lot of people are like, "Oh, what do you do to have fun?" Well, I mean, you're a year in, so you're what you do to have fun is you live and breathe your solution. Like me being 15 years into this iteration,
yeah,
I enjoy golfing in the summer. We don't work as hard because we're in the Midwest. We know what it's like for Canadians being cold as all get out in the winter.
yep,
So when it doesn't get above freezing for like 2 months, it's easy to work all day, every day. But when it's in the summer and you're like, well, I got to be outside.
yeah,
We kind of, I get it. I get it. That's understandable. And our clients understand that for the most part too, that, hey, I might not be as accessible in the summer because I'm out doing things, but there's always somebody manning the ship. That's what I say.
I love that.
So appreciate you coming on. Appreciate what you do for us and for our mutual clients. I mean, you do a great job for them, and to provide those the first line of defense, so to speak, because we tell people if you're not following up on leads immediately and then not following up more than once and again, then you're just walking away from dollar bills. So uh,
Yeah,
you guys are definitely a great solution for us and the clients that we share, and honestly, we'll probably have more and more that come to you because they want that outside solution.
for sure.
Let us know what's the best way for somebody to get in touch with you, and I'll let everybody know. Like you don't have to write it down as he blurts it out, but you could say it. I'll make sure I have it on the have it in the information on the video. But what's the best way to get in touch with you, and what's the best route of of knowing, hey, when is it time for us to engage with you? Is there a threshold of, hey, you need to have this many leads coming in before we can really you can really utilize us?
Yeah, really good question. So first things is just the site for sure. The site, you'll see some case studies. You'll kind of get a further detail into my background. There's a video on there that you could watch. There's actually a few videos, and then of course the book a call link. So if you do want to chat, if this does make sense to you, happy to take that time to kind of go over things. And that's just convertify.co, convertifi.co. And then the other main source of social is really just my Instagram, just first name underscore last name. So Brandon underscore Moore 88. It's the number 88. So that's for personal stuff and kind of just some nuggets I share on there. And then as far as minimums, 50 leads per month coming in is an ideal scenario. That is the bare minimum as a company that we have. And then the guarantee number of appointments kicks in when you're doing at least 100 leads a month. So 50 bare minimum, guarantee comes in once you're doing 100 plus, and that's pretty much it as far as minimums and requirements go. Regardless, even if you're not at that stage, I have some people that come to me saying, hey, I'm doing 20 to 30. What do you recommend is my best next step? I'm happy to have that
Yeah,
conversation as well. I think it's important to at least give a roadmap. We speak with people all the time who aren't there yet, but I could clearly see that they want to get there. It is their goal. It's exactly what we can help with, right? So totally fine to have that convo. And those are the two sources of where to get me, of where
awesome.
to find the team. So
Perfect. That's great, man. Well, thanks again. And you've got all the information on how to get in touch with Brandon. And I tell you, if you're at that number of leads generated, or you're sort of feeling not like you're letting leads drop on the floor, then by all means, a phone call and an informational meeting is not going to hurt you at all. It doesn't cost a thing. But um, thanks again, Brandon. I appreciate you coming on, and we'll chat soon.
likewise, appreciate you. Thanks, Nick.
Yep.